Alright, ready? You said the bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Hashem notan haTorah. Amen. Alright, guys. So, in Ezekiel, last week we went very slowly through framework, looked at some problems, asked the questions about whether this is physical, whether this is spiritual, whether this is an allegory. We got stuck on some ideas. Our main issue really is, if this is a physical temple, why do we find sin offerings? Okay, understand this has either happened before or it's millennial, right? And we spoke about the construction of Ezekiel's temple and some of the descriptors that were given to us. Remember, how did they build in antiquity?
At an angle going up.
Going up and using weight, and everything is going in step about 2 centimeters up on every stage. It looks straight until you sit at the corners, and then you can actually also see the step. See the step, see the step. No one else did any different. Okay, that's how they did it. That's how it was done. Nothing less, nothing more. Now we've got a bit of a problem. Our problem with that is that this temple is said to go in places wider to the top. So that means it isn't supported. It says it's not supported on the sides. It's actually supported from underneath. So it's doing exactly the opposite. Okay? So we know it hasn't been built yet. There is a possibility it's a picture of something that should have been built, even though the problem with that is they never had the technology to do it. In saying that, we cannot say that they could never have done it. Why do I say that?
Because nothing is impossible.
Absolutely. When there was technology that we still don't know how they did stuff today, when they built the Mishkan. When they built the menorah, made out of pure gold, it doesn't really give sizes, but they assume it's a certain height, but the problem is, as soon as we get over a small piece, it starts to fall in. How do we do that? We're not sure. We're still unsure about how they did it. So there was certain things that they could do then that we're not exactly sure how they did it. If God wanted him to do it, he could have done that. Okay, so there is that in it. The problem is it would have been so contrary to everything that was being built at that time. No Babylonians, no Romans, no one else. And we need to understand throughout history, the Greeks and the Romans were really, really prominent as master builders. All right, that's where Herod the Great got his building profiles and all these things from. He learned a lot from them, and then he still took it one step further. All right, so to say, and when we built the second temple period, the second temple, Yeshua's temple, that was the biggest in the world. Ezekiel's temple makes that one look small. Okay, so it would be a pretty big stretch. So I sent you guys home last week after taking you through the Mishkan, into the temple, who built the first temple, into the second temple, who demolished the second temple to build up the renewed or the restored second temple. Yes? And we were all very excited about all of our homework. So you only had a couple of chapters to study for tonight. Okay? I said that it would be good for you guys to go back and look at the offering system to find out what the sin or all the different types of offerings were in Leviticus. Okay? Regarding the basic, we said around you go from Leviticus 1 to Leviticus 7. Would have given you the 5 basic offerings that they had. Okay, and I wanted you to draw that next to which other offering? Day of Atonement, which is Leviticus 16. Yes? Okay. Time to have some fun. Yeah. Yeah, for Uncle Winston, because I'm going to sit back and chill, and I'm going to call up random people to come and help me with certain things. Yeah, the ones that make the most noise are the ones that are coming up first. My girls, you better be ready. All right. So let's do the framework for the first lot. Go with me to Leviticus 1. Okay, with anything, before you open up a book, you need to ask framework. Okay, who's the author? Well, yeah, God told Moses to write it down. Okay, and what's the first word? How do we get to the book of Leviticus? Huh? Okay, we have the letter title Leviticus, right? And that is, why do we have it Leviticus? What is it? What do you think it's trying to tell you? Right? It is a book pertaining to Levite. Okay? But it doesn't start with the word Levite, otherwise the book would not be called Vayikra. Vayikra means what? What's the first couple of words in your in the book of Leviticus? Yeah? Okay? Basically, and he called. Capital. He. Okay? A vav, interestingly enough, is and. It's an adjoining word. Why do you think you want to start the book with an and? Yes, because the story doesn't stop at Exodus. He's carrying on with the same thought into Leviticus. Don't get into the situation where you think this is now opening up a separate scroll. He was going into it and he was saying, this is what I want you to do. This is what's going on. This is what's going to happen. And this is how you're going to do it into Leviticus. Okay? How many of you guys have got those Bibles with the little headings? Okay? Go look at the last couple of chapters. Let's go from Exodus 30 and just quickly scan through things that God is talking about. Exodus 30. So what is he busy dealing with? So you've got 10 chapters and we've got some headings. What do we have? Say what? The tabernacle. Carry on. Is that the whole subject of 10 chapters?
No, and then the golden calf,
32.
and then they leave Sinai, and then they get the tablets, the covenant renewed.
Okay.
Then the instructions are the same.
Instructions are the same. And what else have we got?
And then they continue again with the articles for the tabernacle, and then how to build it, who they instructed to be called out to build it, to make it, to finish it, and then, yes, and then the rest of it is build the tabernacle.
Okay, so what is the basic, what was the reason? What is the Mishkan? Okay, God descending to dwell amongst men, right? And, or how do we define God?
You call it.
You can. Scripturally, it actually gives you definitions.
But you said that at the time then.
I said,
You said on the seat,
yeah,
then it only shows light is because it's not described.
well, they can, but the angels do. The angels give descriptions. I say, you can't put God in a box. Okay, the way we describe him is either using Greek terminology versus Hebraisms, his function versus definition. What we do is we think in a Greek idea and we go, okay, and we use fancy words. Omnipotent, he's everlasting, he's eternal, he's love, he is this. And it becomes something that you can't hold on to. It becomes stuff that's not tangible. But when you do it from a Hebraic fashion, you describe him as a teacher, living water, light. Okay?
Wind.
Okay, the Ruach, the very breath of life. And it's all about how he relates to you, yes? So I can take the Father and I can sort of correlate an understanding. I can take living water if I was walking around in the desert being passed, that which gives me life. He's the bread from heaven.
King.
He's a king. I'm a servant. And it's about relationship, yes? Absolutely. You cannot get away with any one of the titles that he uses, including the name that he gives you, which is actually a function. Is all about relationship and how he relates to you. Nothing more, nothing less. You cannot understand him in his fullness But when the angels are sitting with him in heaven, they go, holy, 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 holy. Right, so what is holy? Huh? Holy is holy. How do we understand holiness? Kadosh. Set apart. Something completely distinct. Something completely separate from us. Distinct as in he's not like us. Right? So we have something that is not of this earth, dwelling on this earth in a little tent. How does something earthly, unclean, and for the most part full of sin, deal with something holy, perfect, and sinless? How? First, we have to pull in those who are going to minister, and we're going to teach them how this relationship is going to play out. And through the pictures, you're going to see Yeshua. And when you see that come in its fullness, we're going to understand that in the time to come and where we are now. But our real question is not to solve or give the entire pictures of everything. Our question is there something in the sacrificial system that will help us understand the sacrifices offered in Ezekiel's temple? That's the only problem we're going to tackle. Okay? So I want you to take the sacrificial system and I want you to screen it just in our framework now. How will this apply if it is millennial? Okay? Because every rabbi will tell you it is millennial. When the next temple gets built, it's going to be massive, it's going to be beautiful, and there's going to be offerings. What's your problem? But Yeshua is our offering, oh really? Why is it in the millennial temple and there's offerings? If Yeshua is your offering, where does that leave you? One of them is lying. Which one is it? And Christians go, sacrifices have been fulfilled. Then why in the millennial are we doing it? Zechariah, why are you following the feasts? No scholar, whether Christian or Jew, will disagree with the stuff that we're saying we're 99% sure this is millennial. Zechariah 14, 99% sure. People will go up, Yeshua will be king in our understanding. In their understanding, David will be king, and he's sitting over there on the throne, and we need to go up, or God with David, and we need to go up and worship God. And at the time of tabernacles, it makes perfect sense to a Christian, not so much, because we were told we don't have to worry about that stuff. So again, we have to squeeze our frame of thought, and we have to go, if this is millennial, Yeshua came, he died for us, he's come down, he's established his kingdom, and then we are going to understand where we fit in, where they fit in, and as we discussed last week, we've got different people groups that we've got to worry about, but we need to understand the offering system to understand it. You want to say something?
The offering system that he showed us in the tabernacle and in the Holy of Holies and how everything's to be done,
Yes.
is what, when Jesus was sacrificed, says happened for us that he did in heaven.
Right.
So if that comes down, is it not still that it's perpetually still occurring with the blood of Jesus as a sin offering, as a guilt offering, and what was it?
Taking notes.
Burnt offering.
Yes.
So it's being done with the sacrifice of Jesus for all the people that are coming up.
And again, but we're not going to slaughter Yeshua time.
No.
And if everything is sitting on here, and we've got the priests eating of the offerings, remember the temple has got chambers where the priests would eat of the offerings. That should give you a big clue. Because there are only certain offerings of which they're allowed to eat of. Then we'll get to the heart of this thing. Okay, right. So, who's up first? Frank. Portia, you're up.
Thanks for volunteering.
You've got Leviticus 1. What does Leviticus 1 give us? The river? What? Leviticus 1 gives us what?
It's about the burnt offering.
Oh, okay, there we go. We've got a burnt offering, otherwise known as the Olay or Olah. Olah is the Hebrew, right? Okay? Remember, it comes from the word aliyah. So to go up to. Okay, so we have the Olah offering. What is an offering in Hebrew? I'll have two of those with James. Come on. What have we got?
Isn't it called korban?
Okay, Korban.
Something brought near the altar.
Right, and that is from the word karav. Karav, you're going to like this one, man. What's your favorite topic? When you're sure it says, Malchut al Shamayim Karava. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. This is the word he uses. Karav. Karava in its form.
I think it's just another level.
I like his light bulb. Okay? The kingdom of heaven is at hand. It's here. Indeed, it is now. It is tangible. Something right here. Now, if that's the root system that they use to give you a korban, and a korban means to bring something to draw it to its purpose, to bring near. What is the point of it? What is the point of the offering? The kingdom of heaven is here. How do I do it? Through sacrifice, different types of sacrifice, and I will come to it, or it will come to you, depending on where the ruach is at that time. Interesting, right? Because the kingdom of heaven descended onto earth and it took shape in a Mishkan. It descended onto Mount Sinai. The king established his tangible presence on something. And wait. Say for me the disciples' prayer. If you don't know what the disciples' prayer is, let me use it in more Christian language. The Lord's Prayer. Did Yeshua know how to pray? Yes. So why did he give them a prayer? Teach us how to pray. He was teaching his Talmidim, his disciples, how to pray. It was for them, it wasn't for you, right? Or for him. So everything about it is not really the Lord's Prayer. Teach us how you pray, that's fine. But it was for the Talmidim to understand prayer. So as disciples, that's how you pray. What's the first line? How? Okay, the Father in. Really? It's amazing. What's the next line? Hallowed be. May your name be sanctified. Holy. Completely distinct, upheld, there, separate. Next. Your kingdom come. Where? May your will be done on earth. As it is in? Oh. So when you pray that prayer, asking God to come down, He's pushing your mind back to what happened at Sinai. He's pushing your mind back to what happened into the tabernacle. He's pushing that power, that Shekinah, that Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, to descend and to establish His kingdom amongst men.
What is it about? When you
Fastest fingers first. I'm not a walking Bible. I don't know every reference. He teaches it in a few places. Okay? Fantastic to think Matthew 8. What do you think? Matthew 6. Is it there?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay? So when you're asking for the kingdom to come, you're asking Him to bring it in. And that is the same holiness thing to bring near you to God. How? How am I going to be brought near to a holy God when I am unholy? Right, through this system. through this is going to make a way for us. And again, you guys all noticed when you did the study, we get to a place, we get to the door. But the blood goes further. Right? We're going to talk about that. But at the same time as we came up to Yeshua, who is the door, but his blood went further. And what he established is he started to establish the new covenant, or the renewed covenant, in the kingdom of heaven with the Ruach HaKodesh coming down. And it's fueling you from Sinai to the Mishkan, the tabernacle, from the tabernacle to the temple, from the temple to man. And Paul makes a statement, do you not realize that at him you are the kingdom, you are the temple of God? A place where we come forward together in one mind without one understanding that the Shekinah will dwell in us, yes? All right, are you guys with me?
Yes.
Okay. So, let's look quickly. What sort of descriptions do you have, Portia, about this burnt offering?
It says, let's see, it could be heard of, but the offerings could be a bull, a sheep, or a goat,
Okay, so you guys all got that?
or a bird.
Okay. All right, so we've got a bull, sheep, or a goat, any type of animal. So I'm going to write there, what do you think I should write underneath it?
Sheep.
Yeah, from the herd, okay? Or an animal, the flock, in the sky. Birds, sheep, goats, bull. Right? Everybody happy? Okay? What else?
Okay, the whole animal was burnt in the altar.
Okay? Everything was burnt except for one part. Yeah, it's not in the first portion. Everything except the hide. No, the skin. The skin is the only thing that is not done. Okay, that they get to take off and the priest gets to keep. In many cases, they actually believe because of the excess of it, a lot of it was actually used to write Torah scrolls on. Okay, remember, it was actually the skin. So something that was korban actually carried the very words of God on top of it. Okay, that inscribed in its skin, and that's what they used when they wrote Torah scrolls on. It had to be a leather parchment. Paper just doesn't cut it. It's not going to last. Okay, so there is that where sometimes it was used. Okay, so we have all up except behind. Okay, everything gets burnt up, and what is that? Well, before we get there, where does the blood go? On which altar in which place? You have to wash the entrails, you have to get everything sorted up, everything is to go up as smoke. Offering from the flock, the sheep, the goats, the burnt offering is to be a male without defect. Let's talk about that for a second. Why would it have to be without defect? What offering, why do the offerings have to be without defect?
Because you show it perfect.
Okay, so it could be a foreshadow. What happens if you have the old manky goat who can't walk and you just want to put it out as mystery?
It's not a good enough offering.
No, because you wouldn't even give that to the king. If you're not going to give it to the king, you're definitely not going to give it to the king. Right? So it has to be the best thereof. Don't give him your leftovers, give him your best. How do you know it's without defect?
Well, circulation is outside.
Right? Which means you did what to it?
Look.
You studied it. Okay? You took the time to make sure that when you offered it, it would be pleasing to the king. Not just take my money and leave me alone.
So it looks good on the outside, but it walked fine. Like something on the inside rather than over here, but
You would love it.
you wouldn't, you know.
You would love it. It's like, this is my sideways goat. One of a kind. Oh, for yours for only. You just try to get rid of it. Right? You guys see anything about the blood?
Yes.
Okay. Which side?
Right.
Which verse you got?
It's 11. At the end of
How's
it.
that?
Number where? Okay, so you got verse. He is to slaughter it on the north side of the altar before God, and the sons of Aaron and the Kohanim are to splash blood on all sides of the altar. So, north side, random reference, but blood goes on all sides. Which altar? Brazen altar. Where does the brazen altar stop? Where does it go? You guys want pictures again?
I don't know what type last the word is now.
Before? Say it again.
I don't know what it's called in English. Just where you wash yourself.
So there it is.
Yes.
Brazen altar. The one outside doesn't go into the holy place or the holy of holies. Okay? It stays in the outer court. Okay? Everybody happy? Okay. Happy face. All right? Anything else you guys want to add about it? Anybody read anything about?
It was a sweet aroma.
Okay, sweet aroma. What does that mean?
Well, it was pleasing to the Father. In the sense, it also at the same time, I know that when, like, for example, the incense altar, when the prayers went up, it was accepted, like he accepted.
Okay, but incense and prayers, and this is about a burnt offering. So what is it if everything goes up? What do you think the heart condition is? What is the burnt offering dealing with? Complete and utter sacrifice. What do you gain by giving a burnt offering? Do the priests get anything besides some skin? No, they don't get to eat from this offering. Okay? So, from an Ezekiel standpoint, the burnt offering purposes is what? If everything goes up. And this animal, you read in the beginning, it says you lay hands on the animal. Right? What does it mean? You just,
It's a transfer yours.
it's got nothing to do with sin. You lean on it, and it becomes your substitute. Okay? That's the whole thing. When you're laying authority over, when you pray for someone, you lay hands on them. When you anoint someone to, let's think of Moses and Joshua. He laid hands on him and he selected him. When Aaron and the priests were put into place, it's the same picture, yes? So this idea of me coming to draw near to God, and I'm going to give this animal as a substitute for me, and it's going to go onto the altar, and it's going to be burnt up completely, and it's about me saying, what's my heart? Everything for you. It cost me something, but this isn't about me. This is about you. This is about glorifying God. Okay? It is about the complete and utter sacrifice. Me giving everything to you. Yes?
So it's like the equivalent of going to a buy or Chico or TDI and then pouring petrol on it and burning it up and saying, God, I love you. It's a complete waste, but you're giving it up to God. It's surrender.
Absolutely. I'm just going to note you. Okay. The blood gets splashed on all sides of the altar. Why do we have to worry about where the blood goes? What is it about the animals goes to a certain point and then the blood seems to be caught and God is very concerned about the blood? Why do we have a reckoning of blood? Leviticus 17 verse 11. That is first. The life is in the blood. Everything about it is its very essence, its very life is being carried forward as a substitute for you, and it's being poured out on the base of God's. What does the brazen altar represent? Brazen
Judgment,
judgment, right? But in his judgment, we've got horns. What do horns represent?
his judgment's way.
No, his strength.
Oh,
His strength, right? The horns of the altar represent his strength. They're pointing away from, and through this blood in God's strength, judgment will be moved away from me. But this is a voluntary act of worship. This isn't about sin. This isn't about me doing anything wrong. This is about me coming to God and going, I love you. Everything I am, right here, me and you. That's it. This animal died because I wanted to say how much I love you. If I could, I'm giving myself up. I'm walking as a living sacrifice. I want that type of relationship, that openness and that fullness. Yes, you get it? It is how I draw near to my holy God, set apart, completely different. Okay? I got it. Okay. Leviticus 2. If you, Leviticus 1, if you just want to mark down in your notes, it's Leviticus 1 for your burnt offering, and Leviticus 6, verses 1 to 7. The next one is the grain offering. Okay, the grain korban, and that is Leviticus 2 and Leviticus 7. Okay. Now there's other places that mentions that there's things that pop over all the place in Numbers, and that, but we'll get into that. Okay. So you have a grain offering. What is the grain offering in Hebrew? Mincha. Mincha. Okay. Not a mincha. A mincha. All right. Yeah. It's the same way. So you get people that pronounce the Shekinah and they call it the Shekinah. All right. It's the mincha offering. Let's see. Laura. Hello, precious. Leviticus 2. What do you see? That's all I'm asking. There's no right or wrong here. We're looking at the chapter. It's an open book test. You're just telling me what you see.
grain offering, and I've laid out choice flour.
Okay. So we got fine flour.
Olive oil.
And one more ingredient you want to tell? Very nice. Okay. Frankincense. Frank. Yeah, fancy. Frankincense.
Yes.
That's it. Okay. So let's talk about those three things quickly. Okay. Fine choice flour. Right. That's nice. Peanut, what does that mean for me? What is it about flour? When do I give a grain offering? Why would I give a grain offering? Right, right. Okay, so I get different ones. So when I give of my first fruits, I can give more of my barley and my wheat, those are grains, yes? So I can give in worship of saying, Abba, you gave me an awesome crop, I'm going to give you some. Thanks very much. Okay, what else? Why would I scan through it and tell me what you see there? Why would I want to give a grain offering? You'll soon see that it can be baked, can need to be unleavened cake, so it has to be unleavened, correct? Okay, so everything has to be unleavened. If it's unleavened, I have a prohibition against using honey in it, because honey acts as a fermentation agent, right? Right, and what it does is it actually starts to help decompose things. That's what fermentation is, decompose. That's going to come back later. Okay, if I'm not allowed to have anything decomposed, and bread is a representation of manna, and it's a representation of Torah, and it's a representation of Yeshua's body, God did not allow it to decompose before it was accepted. Right, which is going to, again, brings us back into that idea that it's first fruits, right? At first fruits, I give that. But if I want to give an offering of that, when every time I come in, I want to say, thank you, Abba, for my grain, and every time I want to, I just want to say, we had such an awesome crop, I'm going to thank you twice. Okay? Who gets to eat of this? Does people get to eat of it? Yes. The priests get to eat of it. What do they call it? Do they eat 50-50 split, or is there something different? Yeah, they take a little piece. It's called what they call like the reminder portion, or the portion of like a memory, right? So we take the reminder portion. This little portion actually goes to God, right? Yes? Uh-huh.
I want to ask you a question.
Okay, and the rest goes to?
Aaron.
All right, and the sages actually go, this is extremely complicated. If we mix it up with oil and I scoop some out a little piece, and they go as far as to say you're only allowed to use 3 fingers, and you scoop some of what happens if you get some stuck in between your fingers? I love how Jews like to complicate things. Right? But it's a good question to ask. I've only got this, but I still got some of his portion on my hand. No, I'm like, I have to get rid of it. Right? But he goes into this whole process, don't stick your hand in the fire. Right? There's actually a funny thing I'll share with you. It says that it's actually what happens if you've got skinny fingers, you've got the problem. One sage reckoned that the only way you negate that thing is you can get the priest with the fat fingers to do it. I don't know if that actually worked, but whatever. So it's mixed with olive oil. What does olive oil represent? Anointing. Okay? So it's about anointing, or that which has been anointed. What do I use? Why do I anoint something? Why? Why do I anoint something? Set it apart as holy, right? This is something that is holy unto God. It's a gift to Him. Holiness goes to holiness. Okay? Frankincense? Frankincense is actually like a perfume, right? Okay, it actually makes up in the oil. We actually got some downstairs. I don't know where. Apparently, not good to put frankincense in the piece you're supposed to eat. Very bad. Also, going to taste really funny. So they would actually take it and keep it separate as part of the libation offering that they would get. Okay, so it is part of it, but the priest gets to eat of this. Okay, so do we have a candidate for the priest eating something? Yay. Okay. Has that got anything to do with? So do we have any problem with the grain or a mincha offering being offered in the millennial reign? You had a good crop, you want to say thanks? No issue whatsoever, okay? That is a voluntary act of worship, yes? Okay, with every offering, just while we're there, with every season grain offering, you need to add what? Pretty much every offering has salt, okay? Salt is about what? Salt is about purification, so we need to purify the fine flour. No. Okay, so there's flour which shouldn't be funky. If you give funky flour to God, you've got problems. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, take this green stuff. Thanks very much. Yeah, bad choice. Wheat is not green in the moldy type. Yes. Okay, so you're going to preserve it on the altar.
Well, as a person preserve the word.
Preserve it. Oof, it is not preserved. I threw it into fire. And just in case I put oil all over it, just to make sure it was well preserved. I'm talking only about this offering system. We are going deep. It's there. It's about covenant. Salt covenant references in 2 places. One I completely forgot about, so I'm glad I did some study. The easy one. It's a covenant of peace. Aaron and his sons to the Levites. It will be a covenant of salt. Covenant of salt is a representative of represents? Wedding staff. Tell me about the wedding staff.
Man and wife would have salt in their hands.
Nice movie. Okay. So the first time before they touch, hands on their wedding day, they salt their hands and then they say, let there be salt between us. It's talking about, I will be loyal to you and you must be loyal to me. God says, if you minister to me and look after my people, I will make sure there's food on your table. The Levites never had big tracts of land, so they were fed in the most part. Whenever you went up, you got, but Abba, I need to go and work the fields. If I don't work the fields, how am I going to get bread? Just don't worry, the bread's coming to you. Just make sure they understand my heart. If you understand and they come and they draw near to me, I will use you as part of that process and you're going to get fed because they come to worship me. Okay? So, the next place, go quickly to 2 Chronicles 13, verse 5. Hopefully I wrote it down right. Oh no, my track record, it might be completely in a different place. 2 Chronicles 13, verse 5. He makes a covenant of salt with David. Interesting that a king gets a priestly covenant of loyalty. King, priest, loyalty. Very, very interesting indeed. Right?
Is this the same David that?
Foreshadows. The same David, King David.
You know, I didn't know that.
Not the fanciful term for the David, which means beloved, who's actually Yeshua. No. All right, not that one. We're talking about actual King David.
Hebrew makes sense.
Starts to make sense. A king, priest, something that's going to be established, a covenant of loyalty. There will be someone on the throne, and I will make sure it is so because God said so.
I think I just understood the order of Melchizedek.
No, we're talking about grain. Sonia, that's got nothing. Absolutely.
Don't talk about salt. Moved on.
These pictures will take time. Okay. Okay. Are you guys okay with this? Okay. Any other specification that you can see?
Vanessa wants to ask something.
No, Vanessa, what do you want to ask? Mincha is the time of the offering. Now, mincha is, they call it mincha because that's when the mincha offering would have taken place. Okay? And the ma'arev is when the afternoon sacrifice would have taken place. Okay? So, good for notice.
I have another question.
Yes.
I'm sorry if it does digress, then we can talk about it another time. The Omer, is it somehow linked to this grain offering?
In a way, because the Omer is actually a 2.2 liter measurement of, and remember we're between barley and wheat harvest. So the measure, but he's actually not measuring any barley or wheat. What is he measuring? Think about it from a bread byproduct. What was given? The manna. Measuring the manna, the bread from heaven, and that which will be more than enough for you and somehow supernaturally kept for the Shabbat, but it's fresh every morning. What else is fresh every morning? Mercy is fresh every morning. Okay. All right. Any other stipulation that you can think of for the mincha? Who gets to eat of it? Aaron and sons may keep of it. Where do they eat it? In the courtyard of the Mishkan. Okay, and it says whatever touches it becomes holy. Right? And the grain on that day. Do they eat it the day it has been anointed? Oh, but wait, there's more. Remember, you're looking at Leviticus 7 and Leviticus 2. Leviticus 7. Later on, it actually gives you like a little pop, 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 pop. This is some, this, and this is some of this, and this is some of that, and this is some of that. So it actually starts to mention. Basically summarizes it and it gives you a little bit some more information. And then one list adds to that later.
Yeah.
Because then it says it becomes a weight offering.
Well, part of it.
Eating on the,
So be eaten on the,
so the peace offering, which
not peace, we're not there yet.
My other grain offering starts from Leviticus 6, verse 14.
Okay. So might be, I know sometimes the 6 starts a lot later than the other ones. So check your, might just be the chapter and verse reference number.
It shall be, okay, so from verse 16,
Mm-hmm.
it shall be eaten in a holy place in the court of the tabernacle of meeting, they shall eat it. The court of my faith, doesn't say the
All right.
tabernacle.
We'll go back and check references. It'll probably pop up later as numbers. All right. Who wants to tackle the next one? Oh, Vanessa wants to.
Why? I was doing so well.
You were doing fantabulous. Yes, you are hiding nicely. Okay.
Peace offering.
Peace offering, otherwise known in Hebrew as the Shalom. Close. Okay. Shalom comes from Shalom. Shalom means peace. And what does peace mean? Remember, you've got generations that might argue of what peace really means. Huh? What? Zero.
No,
Speaks, there is nothing. What? Oh, shit. Sefer.
I don't know how to say it.
Now, I'm not supposed to help you.
It's spelled Z-E.
Hmm? Zepah. In what? Is that what you picked up on your studies? Okay. Well, I'll just have to check it out. I'll Google, but that's not the name for this. Okay. Shalom. Okay. Shalom is kind of the way it's saying everything is as it should be, as according to what God has ordained. I have complete and utter peace about something. That means I'm in the will of God and I'm with God and I'm happy about that and everything's fine. Okay? Right. What is it about the peace offering? What do you see there?
It has to be without defect.
All offerings have to be without defect, right?
We read it now.
Okay, important.
Lay your hand on the at
Right.
the tent of God at the door.
Uh-huh.
You slaughter it. Sprinkle the blood and you slaughter it.
Any pictures?
And then it speaks about how to slaughter it. The fat that covers the entrails and all the fat that is on the entrails.
Okay, that's important, right? Because which part of this offering goes up in smoke and which part of it goes other places? Okay, so we have the fats. Okay, yeah, they go up in smoke. Okay, that means that stuff gets burnt up completely. That's part of the offering. What else do we have?
We have the kidney
Yeah,
and the loins, the fats at the bottom of the loins.
okay.
And
So,
the things, fish, and the liver, and the earring.
all right, so all the gooey, mushy stuff gets burnt on the altar. What goes to the priest? Is there anything that goes to the priest?
Yeah.
What do you guys see? Help it out.
The priest must present the fat with peace offering and the special gifts.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about. What else goes where? Do the priest get to eat of it? Is there anything that he has to do with any portion of it?
Isn't this often where both the person who offered it and the priest get it?
Right, okay, so, but where do you see it? What do they get to eat?
It's in Leviticus 7,
Right, right.
from verse 15.
What do you guys see there? It's an open book test.
Well, isn't it the priest can't basically eat anything because
They're not allowed to eat the fats, the choicest parts, right? And that has to go in the blood. We know we're not allowed to eat blood. The whole scripture's pretty clear on that. So, but we need to deal with that. I'm not allowed to eat the life force of something else. Remember, that was part of a pagan practice. Okay, the pagan practice actually says if I drink the blood of a bull, I will become strong and virile like a bull, or I drink the blood of a lion, I'll become like a lion. And we pretty much know that if you drink the blood of anything, you pretty much get gross diseases, and then you get dead.
Okay, do become like a lion.
The deadline, yeah. The voices of the red man. But this stuff is not good for you, and the life force is. Okay, so as you substitute yourself, you need to understand that something that is your substitute has to go further forward. If I ingest it, it's never going to draw me near to God. You guys understand it? Okay. What else?
So you have to give the right fine from the sacrifices of peace offerings to the priest.
Okay.
Contribution.
All right. What else?
They need to eat
Pretty much everything.
everything that remains along with the worship that it brought.
Okay, right. So everybody's allowed to have this, and it's a really good time. And if it's a Shalom offering, say everyone eats. Any issue with this, saying this in Ezekiel's temple? If it's about peace, me and you are okay. How about we get to have a meal? And let me give you some inclinations of it. In other places, it talks about a shalmin and an oleh offering, and a grain offering has to have a wine libation. That's Numbers 15 verses 8. So there's wine attached to these guys, which is kind of interesting. Wine and grain being a symbol of what? Wine and bread. Right, and if you look at the peace offering, it says it must be eaten on that day. And if it is taken with a vow, you may eat it on the next day, but on the third day, it has to be completely burnt up. Yeah, nowhere on the third day. And we spoke about the third day already. Because Yeshua was not allowed to decompose. His body was raised up on the third day, even in the third evening of the third day. And in a sense, we can see the understanding that he is part of our peace offering. We partake of him, God partakes of him, and we're at peace with God. In many cases, some people will go as far as to say it's the Passover. Okay, it's that type of offering, where the Pesach is a celebratory offering between me and God, and I get to celebrate with him. Has this got any issue or problem with what I do in Millennial Temple? Can I celebrate with God? Am I going to eat the Passover lamb with God? Probably, but not eating Yeshua, but eating something that reminds me of the Passover lamb. It's like, right? Remember, it's a memorial. And it's, one second. If you have a memorial, it's something that as you are reminded about what you did for me, I can still celebrate it today because I know I was slave and now I'm free. I can still celebrate it today because then I was cursed and without God, and now I'm with God and I'm brought near to him. I can celebrate it. Am I eating the Passover lamb? If I don't put blood on the doorposts of my house, does that mean death is going to enter? No, but I will remember that forever. So part of these offerings are memorials, and we spoke a bit about that in our first couple of sessions, remember? It's to remind us of what he's done. when he's sitting there, the Passover lamb is sitting there, Yeshua is sitting there, and he goes, it's Pesach time. How can I not look at him and celebrate? What you did for us, I just don't understand how. I don't understand why me. I don't understand, but I am eternally grateful that I get to be here because of something you did. Is there a problem with this offering in millennium?
No.
No. Okay? You wanted to say?
The burnt part,
Yes.
because you mentioned that it was symbolic of something good now.
Mm-hmm.
But in millennial reign, God's going to be not up.
Again, if we go back to the picture of the burnt offering, right? Or lay offering. It is about complete and utter surrender. And when Yeshua offered up his spirit, that is part of it. So as much as everything that he was as a living sacrifice ascended to God, bringing all those who he covered. It's the same picture. Okay.
In verse 11, it says, "And the priest shall burn them on the salt place as food."
Yes.
Does this mean that they're cooking it on the salt place? Is it going up to God as food?
Which portion?
It's the kidneys in the morning.
That's up to God. That is the choice parts. In those days, those were the best parts. For us,
So as food for God.
yes. It's as if it was. Okay, remember the offering or the understanding is about he would eat, priest would eat, I would eat, everything's okay between us. It is one of the only offerings that we can all sit down and have a fat meal together. If you understand at Sinai, the elders were lifted up and they shared a meal with God. It's the same picture. When the word came down, the word was there, the Ruach was there, the elders was there, God was there, and we all sat down and we broke bread. Yes? That means in Middle Eastern culture, we're good. Let's enter a covenant. After the covenant, we have the covenant meal. We're good. And now we're going to move on. In covenant, in relationship with the right understanding of who you are, who I am, and what we need to do together. All right? Okay, now we're going to get to the fun stuff. Next offering. Are you guys okay with this so far? All right. Anybody want to take a happy snack? Because it's going bye-bye. All right. All right, who's going to tackle this one? I'm smelling a...
Sorry, I'll do.
Huh? You want to try it?
No, you're smelling acid, so I know.
You want to nominate yourself? All right, hopefully let's see what you got. What are we dealing with in the next chapter? Sin offering. Okay, now we've got two sections of the sin offering. We've got actually two portions. All right? Sin is called what in Hebrew? The chatat. 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 All right? But a subsection of the chatat is, what's the guilt and trespass offering called? Okay. Same offering, guilt or trespass. Spell A-S-H. Yeah. Sham. Right. That is correct. Okay. So when you talk about the chatat offering, you need to ask yourself which part of it. Both, in effect, are sin offerings. Okay, both are chatat. But chatat does not just, in scripture, is not only used for sin. Okay, so let's stick with the first basic understanding. What do we see with chatat?
It's for the Oh, I read that it's for iniquity, sin, and intention.
All of these are unintentional sin. Okay, it's a good point to make. Okay, unintentional. If it's unintentional, it means I didn't realize. Okay, you bumped something over, it fell into your trolley, you walked out with it, you found out you had an extra piece of something, you stole. You didn't pay for it. You get home, you send everything to the teller, you look through your till, and you bought 5 pieces of clothing, but there's 6 somehow, even though she went through, she didn't scan, or it didn't scan, it didn't come up in your bill. You are guilty. Right? You have now found out that you were given this piece of clothing. Someone's going to pay for it. Is it going to be you, or is it going to be the person who didn't scan? So, we made a mistake. It was unintentional. About what do? We go back and we say, listen, this is what I have in my bag. This is what I found in my slip. Well, I don't understand why this was never scanned. Okay? Charge me for it, we'll take it back. Depends on how much money, right? But it's unintentional. Something happened, and now you're sitting in a situation where you have to fix up. Okay? If this is something for unintentional sin, who then and or how do I deal with intentional sin? Intentional.
I mean, if you murder someone,
Well, it's intentional.
you stone to death. You don't give
Well, how then am I going to come in? I say now come into a repentant state. There weren't more than one witness. In stoning, you need 2 or 3 witnesses. That has to be accurate. I was only there. David the shepherd. God didn't go, oh, so we don't have witnesses to this, so you get away with it. He goes, I'm still going to hold you accountable. You're the king, after all, you're supposed to represent me, so let's have a discussion. Right? And so we go on. So how then do I deal with intentional sin?
It's pretty much, if I was in that time, you have the guilt offering. So you say you're guilty, right? And that's to make restitution on behalf of what you did. I think you can't follow at that point, you can't follow the same process.
More or
Hope
less.
for the best, basically. But I think today we have Yeshua, but again, that's the sacrifice. Is that sacrifice intentional sin, or does it cover intentional sin?
That's a good point. We actually have an example in Torah where God has already forgiven intentional sin. Okay, there was rebellion against God, and Moshe was up on the mountain, and the people were really pretty much unrepentant. And Hashem said to Moshe, "You come sit down, my boy. I'm going to wipe out these people, and out of you, I'm going to make a nation." And Moses pleads on behalf of the nation, and he says, "What about your enemies? What about your reputation? They're going to make fun of you. They're going to say you couldn't bring it. They died out because you couldn't protect them, and your name's going to be done." And he says, "You're slow to anger, you're merciful, you're compassionate. Abba, please. If you blot them out, you might as well kill me too." And God relents because someone intercedes on the behalf.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he says, "All right, I won't. But I'm not going to go with you. An angel's going to go with you." And then he says, "Well, if you're not going to go yourself, then don't send me either." Lots of chutzpah. But you need that type of chutzpah. It's the same as Abraham negotiating with Abba, saying, "Well, if you found 50 righteous, come on, I know you're not that type of God. You love everybody. Okay, what about 40? You don't tell me your love stops at 40. It's only 10 people. I know you're a 30 type of God. I know you'll say 30. And he whittles him down all the way to 10. Why doesn't God just slap him and say, "I know what you're doing, child. Stop trying to push your luck with me"? Why does he go to Abraham first? Why doesn't he just bypass him and say, "But I'll check you on the flip side and we're going to come and have lunch after"?
That's right.
allows people to intercede.
Hi, friend. I'm going to go destroy some people. You want to come? No? Not that type of friend? What would be the point? He allows him to intercede. He gives Abraham an opportunity, something which is very interesting. The sages have a very dim view of Noah. Okay, if we wanted to be nice to Noah, it says no one, God looked at every other person in a generation and he knew there was nothing good. And that's a big statement coming from God. But we never hear of Noah interceding for the people. We don't hear of him standing in that gap.
He didn't love the people.
He must have known some of them. He tried to save them, right? But nothing. And then when we have Abraham, he says, there's one good family in the entire city. There's two cities, Sodom and Gomorrah. Will you save them? They have families. You know, it actually talks about it in scripture. And I need to pull a verse for you. It says that Lot actually was grieved by the way Sodom and Gomorrah were doing things and what they were doing. But he still never moved. He didn't like it. And he was trying to help them, trying to get them to change. Guys, brothers, please don't act like this. We see him trying to negotiate with them. Okay, thanks. And we see this sort of intercession that happens, but we know Lot wasn't as strong as Abraham. God,
What Jesus does for us.
Abraham, Moshe, that intercessory on what it can do, how many people can be saved. And time again, he says, when I get rid of sin and when I do this, you've blasphemed my name throughout the nation. So I'm going to come and I am going to establish my kingdom. I'm going to do this for my name's sake. I am going to forgive all iniquity. I am going to establish my throne. Because when I gave it to you, you guys fell. Again, it's kind of redundant. I don't want to take our part of it, but how can an imperfect being reflect a perfect God unless he is completely flowing through? The problem is we don't always want that, right? Because we get to the place where it's all about us. Even for a moment. You know, it's something that we need to be cognizant of. It's the simple fact is that you might be the only Bible people ever read. There's Sonia goes. She's a believer. She's a Christian. She says she follows Torah as well. So what she does tells me that God's okay with her. The places you go, God must be okay with her because she knows God. I don't know him, so he's okay. You see, if they know you and they know your God. When I stand in a place, this is one of the biggest things that freak me out about when it sits in. If I walk into a place and another Jew sees my tzitzit, he goes, no, it's okay, he's eating there, it's fine. No, it's okay. You know, what he's doing is fine. I trust him. That man he's standing up for God's instruction. So whatever I do is telling my brethren that God's okay with this. Yes? Freaked me out a little bit. It was very difficult for me to put on tzitzit because I stand up there and the thing is, we don't even realize we do this anyway. We're standing there, people know we believe this, people know we come to fellowship, people know that we're Bible believing. So everything you do is telling me, you know God, I don't know God, God's okay with what you do. Now stop and take stock of it. How many times have we let him down just by being in places we shouldn't be? By saying things we shouldn't say. You know? So it takes 1 minute for someone to recognize you driving a car, someone cuts you off. Your response is either going to be God or it's going to be you. What do I want you to see? Okay, so I have to take stock of that. don't even know why we did. But anyway, let's bring it back to the showing. I should love rabbit holes. All right, so anyway, unintentional sin. So this is because I didn't realize it was gone, and only God can forgive intentional sin. Thank you, Abba, for the blood of Yeshua. It goes that much further. Okay? Now, tell me a story about the Khatat. What do we see about the Khatat? What offering do I offer? When do I do it? How do I do it? Okay, so a bull. Bull, very expensive. For which type of person? Not just the high priest. Is it priests in general, or is it the high priest only? Yes. Eh? For the priests. Okay, so if someone who comes in my sanctuary and he unintentionally sins, we need the highest take point here. Boys and girls, we've got a priest. So this, depending on who and what I offer, is on my function. So it's a bull because I'm a priest. The anointed priest, or priests are generally anointed, or it could be the high priest, so that could, you could parallel Leviticus 16. Okay, what else? Okay, he comes in, there's blood, obviously, there's pressing and transference, the substitution goes forward. Okay. Okay. Towards where? All right, so this blood goes into the sanctuary, into the holy place, and it gets sprinkled towards the curtain, yes? Okay, so before the blood was outside, and now it's getting further and further inside. Okay, so we're going to say this goes into the holy place, where the menorah and that is, okay? You see, obviously, with the Leviticus 16, Yom Kippur, one, the blood goes all the way to the Holy of Holies, and it's the only time a year that he's allowed to do it. And he goes in and he pours some blood on the mercy seat, sprinkles it with water. Yes? So there's one offering that goes further. Okay? What else do we see? Okay, the horns on the place, on the incense altar. Okay? What is it about the incense altar? What does that represent to God? I bring the incense, I put it on, and it ascends. What is that representation of? The sweet aroma, they're all incense. Everything, from the offerings to the incense, is all the sweet aroma to God. Not sin. Praise. Right? It is the intercession on that I am trusting that this blood is going all the way up into the throne room of God. It's not just stopping here, it's going to his very seat. Remember, it was, again, Yom Kippur. He takes some of that incense with some coals and he puts it in under the curtain before he comes in. Through prayer, I will come in through intercession and I will be able to stand at your feet. Who is the one who's doing that? It's Yeshua in the Holy of Holies, standing before the throne of God, interceding on our behalf, presenting his own blood. Right? Okay, what else? What else do we see? Okay, so it gets in, the rest gets poured out on the altar as if the burnt offering, right? Okay, is that the fullness of what you see?
Well, that's what I studied.
Okay, that's fine. Anybody else? See anything else?
It's different offerings for different types of people.
Right. Does that come in with the Khatat? Okay, when you look at what? Which groups offer up what?
So is the priest is the leader,
Okay,
the individual, or the standard Israelite,
okay,
and then there's people that also, if you can't afford certain offerings, you can get their blood, so if you can't afford that, you can get foul.
okay. So we've got
The leader
the leader. What does he offer?
is a male goat.
Goat. Okay,
Israelite.
and for the individual,
Female goat.
goat, female. Okay,
They can't do that, then it's a pair of doves.
where does that come in?
It's a little bit like.
That's part of your guilt offering, right? Leviticus 5. Okay, when are they allowed to eat of this offering? Or they're not? I'm sure. Anybody want to take a second opinion on this? Where? Show me. I don't believe a single word that comes out of your mouth. Try Leviticus 6 verse 17 around there.
Leviticus 6 verse 7.
Yeah, well, it might be the start of what I'm talking about. Yes.
What's interesting is that the priest has to offer up a bull, and the scripture that speaks about it says, if the noisy priest sins, bringing guilt on the people. It reminds me of Mount Sinai with the Lord.
Right.
So it's priest needs to be the person who brings the dozen.
The person who doesn't get rid of it, but when? Under which circumstances? When the priest sins? No. Yes? No. He makes atonement for it, and I think it's burnt up.
Yes, but then in verse 29, it says, all the males among the priests may eat it, it is most holy.
When it comes to which section?
It's an offering.
Yes, but which one? Because you're talking about for the leader, for the individual.
For the individual.
Oh, yes.
The leader.
So from this point down, we can eat. This point, no one eats. What does that tell you about millennial reign in Ezekiel? Eh? If you're dealing with people groups, and in Zechariah, people refuse to come up and worship, they restore rebellion. And possibly we could say that Yeshua is on the throne, you can no longer use his blood, you've refuted him, now you will still need a substitute to come into God's presence. I'm not saying this is exactly what it is, but it's a possibility. And he comes in and he says, all right, for the rebellious leader or the person who unintentionally sins because he doesn't know, or for the individual. But if we are a kingdom of priests and we're busy ministering with him, reigning with him, well, we need to deal with any sin we have. No. Will other people who don't know him, who didn't make that choice, who maybe survived tribulation, will they? Possible. Okay. You with me? All right. If we go into the guilt offering very quickly, you're looking at, again, a lamb or a goat, 2 doves or 2 pigeons, 2 quarts of fine flour if you don't have that. So God says, you're guilty. There's no mistake. Bring me a lamb. I can't afford a lamb. Bring me 2 doves or 2 pigeons. Oh, but I don't have 2 doves or 2 pigeons. Bring me some grain. Now here's a question. If blood is what covers sin, how does grain act as a substitute for me? Bring me the bread of sin offering. Splash the blood on sprinkle the blood of what? Exactly. There's nothing there. But this is the beauty of it. God sees it as if it was. But because of your means, I will not let your sin become a problem, and I'm going to offer that instead. And that becomes a picture again of Messiah offering up an atonement or a guilty thing because of his body was laid on the line for us. You guys with me? Okay. When you talk about the guilt offering, it says if anything is stolen or you dealt falsely with someone, you make restitution and you bring a guilt offering. So what does restitution mean? I get to pay you back plus a fifth in many cases. You're right. So I'm really sorry I stole your Ferrari, but I'm keeping it. I said, sorry, leave me alone. I stole R1 million. Abba says, that's nice. Now you're paying back 1.2. How sorry are you now? Don't think that we just get to wave a magic wand and say, sorry. That's not true teshuvah, that's not restitution. I need to make right with my brother. I took that money away from him, so now I get to restore plus. That doesn't change. Okay? But if we're dealing with millennial reign, we've got something interesting. First, very quickly, you guys okay? All right, no one needs to run away just yet. You've got to be there at 9:30, yeah? What time? Huh? Be delayed. Okay. So what we need to understand when it comes to offering system, we need to understand that there's a blood for blood principle. Number one, you brought death and brokenness in, people died, so to substitute or to redeem you, something has to die to come in. Remember Goni Den? You made clothes out of fig leaves, you get kicked out of the garden, what does Abba do? An animal dies to cover your sin, to cover your nakedness, to cover your shame. That animal died, it took its place. You should die. They're gonna die. But to cover them is a picture of what that covering is. The covering, the word covering is the same word we use for atonement. Atonement is kapara. Okay? It is the covering of your sin. So judgment will no longer come to you. It has already been passed on to something else. There is a substitution that takes place. In that substitution, I have to have faith. I believe that this animal is going to take my place. This animal has done nothing wrong. But because I want to draw near to a holy God and I know my sin prevents me from doing it, I need someone to pay the price for me. I need to believe that God will accept that offering so that I will be okay with him and then I can come into his presence again. That's the point of having a Mishkan if I'm never there. Okay? We need to understand that if we look at the offering system, and you can read Hebrews 7 verses 25, Hebrews 7 verse 19, and Hebrews 10 verse 22, the offering system in its fullness is truly about the heart. Okay? It is my heart, it's about cleansing my heart. Right? Isn't the right to say that the blood of bulls and goats will never cleanse you? In fact, how is it? Are you going to wash yourself in blood? Is that going to be kosher? No. If you tell any Jew today, cover yourself with the blood of Messiah. Blood's unclean. Why would I want to cover myself with the blood of anybody? What is wrong with you? That's the first thing you're going to tell you. It's unclean. It's unkosher. No ways. We're not allowed to eat it. Now you want me to delve into it? No. That's Mishkan stuff, man. That's got nothing to do with me. I'm not going to be covered with the blood of any human. That's just weird. What we're trying to say is, and we have to get away from our Christian talk, is that he is a kapara, a covering for you, so that judgment will no longer go to you, but he will be your substitute. And it is not the blood of a bull that abated God's wrath or changed sin or took your sin away. But it was a substitute because your heart changed and you wouldn't want to sin anymore. The wages of sin is still death, though. And they still need someone to pay the price. Something has to pay the price. Are you guys understanding it? Okay? It is about the blood. Now, what's very interesting is about this, if this is millennial reign, if they're even eating a long viewpoint, there's another one though. How many of you, when you did the research, came to the word chatat and came up with other instances where chatat was used? Chatat was what you use for sin. Jews won't call it all the time a sin offering. Let me give you some examples. Same word being used. Someone look up Leviticus 12. Someone Leviticus 14 verse 19. Someone Numbers 6 verse 11. And someone Numbers 6 verse 14. Same word. Tell me the instance. Leviticus 12 verse 6. Who's got that? Booklet?
Time of purification of treated for either a son or daughter, the woman must bring one of them or a burnt offering of the young pigeon, or turtle dove for a purification offering.
Right. What was it, a sin offering or a purification offering? It's the same word. Has she sinned because she gave birth? So is it sin? Is it sin?
Well, no, because it's for the seed.
To remind you of a sin, but you have not sinned.
Yes.
Purification from childbirth, yes? Okay, next one.
It's, the priest is to sacrifice the sin offering and make atonement. They want to be cleansed from their uncleanness.
Okay, so who's being cleansed? What's being cleansed?
So this is the
Okay,
ritual.
the leper which is cleansed. Has he sinned? No. Sinned before, made teshuvah because now he's been healed, and only after he's been healed, he makes a chatat offering. Okay? Number 6, verse 11. Who's got it? Okay?
And the priest shall prepare one as a sin offering and the other as a sending offering, and shall make atonement for him because he sinned by reason of the dead body. And he shall set apart his head on that day.
All right. Talking about a Nazarite who touched something dead. Did he sin? No, but he's in an unclean state. Unclean is not sin. Okay? Nazarite. Nazarite touch corpse. By accident, right? And 6 verse 14. Still talking about the Nazarite? After the term of his vow is complete. Okay, so he brings in after the vow is done. When you look at the term chatat, in many cases they will translate, in the Jewish translation they will call it purification offering and they will call it a sin offering. The question is the context. Now, let's apply that to Ezekiel. Will there be people who are dealing with childbirth in the millennium? Okay, so we will still need a purification offering or a chatat. Same thing. Yes. For the individual, will they eat of it? Yes. Will there be people maybe taking a Nazarite vow and touching maybe something dead because people will still die in the millennium? Yes. Yes, but they're just going to live to like really old, but they're still going to die. We on the other hand are going to be fine. No more death. So if we touch anything unclean, someone who is set apart for it, touches it, or makes that vow, or maybe there is a case where someone gets miraculously healed by Taharat, is there still a question of purity when it comes down to the temple being established? Absolutely. Will they eat it? Absolutely. Does that fit millennial better? Absolutely.
Because they had to anoint a lot of the stuff, like they had to sacrifices to, anoint the stuff in the mission and stuff.
So if anything becomes defiled, a purification offering must take place. And because we're still not in a complete, perfect world, as in only after millennium will everything be established that there will be no more unclean and clean, no more death, because death will only be destroyed after the 1,000-year reign. There will still be rebellion in it, and they might come to the place of utter rebellion against Yeshua, and they're going to die. In many cases that we're looking at here, I believe a lot of our apprehension about a physical temple is nullified purely because of the translation. He might not just say, and the chatat, they will eat of it, and we go, he said sin, why is there still sin in the millennium? Well, the simple question is, well, there is. But with Yeshua, where does that leave creation? Can they still take hold of Yeshua? Can they still ask for forgiveness? Can they still make teshuvah? I believe yes, absolutely. Why else would we be teaching them and teaching them about the feast and telling them to come up and worship? Will there be a clean and unclean problem? Yes, because all things have not yet been restored. So when we think of that offering system, we have a couple of things. Can it be a memorial? Like Pesach? Can very well be. Remember that time when you guys sinned and Yeshua had to come and say goodbye? It's possible.
Because we're cross daily.
Okay? Can it be for the other groups that they have not chosen Messiah and still are learning to draw near to him through sacrifice? Yes. It could be for the other guys. And can it be about purification? Absolutely. For the most part, purification fits the bill better than anyone of the three. Next.
When Ezekiel will rule and reign with Messiah in the millennium, so now are we going to be the priests of the Sanhedrin? Because if we're the priests, then we'd be eating all the sacrifice.
It's quite possible. It says that the dead in Christ will reign with him. What that means exactly, Scripture is pretty unclear. Because there might be a whole bunch of Kohanim, Aaron's sons, who also believed.
Yeah.
Right? And they were like, yay, temple, we're in here, but and we understand Messiah, and we understand everything, and we just here to have a good time, and we want to worship him, and we want to teach everybody else about him. His atoning sacrifice. What he did, you come through tribulation, you survive. I remember what a odd, you talk about playing lotto. You're literally one in a million that pulls out. And you guys are sitting there after everything, and this guy comes down and he sets up his kingdom, and they build this place, and people are going up to worship. And I don't know him from a bar of soap. And I'm supposed to come and celebrate a tabernacle feast or something? Or what is a Passover, and why is that a big thing in my life? Let me tell you about Messiah. First, to understand Mashiach, you have to go study the Exodus, and then you look at the parallels, and then we show you how the crucifixion was actually a Passover lamb sacrifice, which actually was a peace offering, which actually was also a Yom Kippur offering. You see, a Yom Kippur offering where they atoned for the tent, the priesthood, and the people. No one ate of that. So the fact of we going in and we saying, no, the priests have to atone for sin, we have to be very careful about how far and which offering he's talking about. It's not a salvation thing here. It's not a so that God can dwell with us thing here. It's something different because we get to eat it. Is it a purification thing? Probably. Is it a memorial? Could possibly very well be. Is the blood of Christ enough to save everything and everybody? Absolutely. Do I need anything else besides that? No. Will he give them a second chance and teach them the same way he taught us through the pages of Torah? Maybe. Yeah.
But why this is going on? Satan is locked up.
Yes, for 1,000 years.
So who's then the foundation of this disbelief and whatever, uncleanness?
Let me ask you the question. Why would God lock him up for 1,000 years before he destroys him first?
So he doesn't mess with people.
Right. And we won't have the excuse. No, Satan tempted me. He told me that he planted that idea in my brain and I was just helpless too. Therefore, I could not resist the stuff.
Do you think then the value and to the extent of a degree that free choice will be extremely powerful in the millennium?
Free choice is free choice. Satan cannot make you do anything. He can only tempt you, right? So he can say, yeah, that's a nice leather jacket. Don't you want to buy it? But Abba said, I need to keep this money. Nah, does God really care? He wants you to have a leather jacket, man. Yeah, but he said it was for his glory. But won't you look really glorious if you had his leather jacket on it? You say, God gave me this jacket. And then you go, yeah, now you're talking my language. That actually makes sense to me. And then I decide to listen to him. You see, he couldn't make Eve eat the fruit. He twisted God's words until she did it herself. Satan is pretty much powerless in that realm. He cannot force you. He cannot take you and make you do something. You have to listen. You have to dwell on it. You have to choose it. And our excuses are quite wide.
So how do you see the context of Hebrew 10, verse 26 to 31, where the person's free choice then nullify the spirit of grace?
No,
You, Christ died for you, but he's deliberately choose to sin.
that's what is part of the series all the time. In the millennial reign, you're still going to have people that still choose to go in rebellion. The thing is, you either choose to be in covenant or you choose not to. God is a gentleman. From the very beginning, he says, I want an apartment, do you want it? Nothing has changed. Absolutely nothing has changed. You don't have the excuse of blaming Hasatan for your bad choices. That was you. You were in rebellion. It wasn't Hasatan who made you do that. You chose to get up and do whatever you wanted to do, how you wanted to do it, and then later you felt bad, so you blamed Hasatan. God puts him away and he says, now let's see what's really beating in your heart. He's not going to tempt you anymore. Now I want to see what's really inside you. And what does he find? In many cases, still rebellion. Because it wasn't the fact that Hasatan was around. The fact is that we choose not to listen. We choose to do it our way. We choose us over God. This is a big thing. Servitude. Guys, the kingdom of heaven is founded on the first premise that there is a king. If there is a king and you want to belong to his kingdom, you have to identify yourself as a servant. If he is king and you are a servant or a son and a daughter, you are still lower than him and you choose to please him by doing things his way. You cannot be in the kingdom and tell the king bugger off. Let me give you a parable, the prodigal son. Daddy dropped dead and died, give me my money, I'm out. That carried death sentence. The rebellious son. How many times have you told God, I know I should be doing this, but I'm out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this my way. I'm going to set up my thing. I'm going to do it. I'm going to establish all of those things. And all you're doing is telling the king that you don't want to partake in his kingdom. Heck, we did it to our parents all the time. Well, you can say what you want. I'm still going to go out. Well, that's nice, Ben. Like, try buying your own food. You want to be a big boy. We go through this process where we have to be taught consequence, and consequence will ultimately save our butts because there is consequences now and consequences eternal. When we're dealing with millennial reign, this is the last shot for anybody who's in that period. But you don't know if you're going to make it through. And God, in his mercy, is still going to put Hasatan away, still give you an opportunity to come up and get to know him, and you're still going to tell him no. How far does your rebellion go when you're standing there face to face? You've got the excuse now that you don't see him, so you don't think about him all the time. But when he's there and he says, come talk to Daddy, what are you going to say? Tell Daddy you can come talk to me. There's a point where he's going to look at you and he's going to open up a book and he says, I really wanted your name to be in the book of life, but you chose not to. You see, my kingdom is going to be established whether you like it or not. And my kingdom is going to go on for eternity. And when that kingdom is established for eternity, you're either going to be with me or you're going to be dead. Which is? That's your choice. You're either going to be with him and have eternal life, or you're not. Here's the choice, guys. You're either working for the enemy, and whether you call it his kingdom, whether you call it your kingdom, whether you call it atheism, whether you call it witchcraft, whether you call it, you can call it whatever, you can call it enlightenment. Guess what? There's his kingdom and his people, and then there's the other guys. It doesn't matter what form you take it in, that's them. If you're living for you, you're not in his kingdom.
The famous verse, I think it's in Ephesians or James, it says, those who love the world will have enmity of God.
Right.
Separated.
They'll be separate because they don't want to submit themselves to it. There's a nice Hebrew phrase you see a lot in the Torah. It's called being stiff-necked. We might say hard-hearted. If you refuse to bow to the king, what do you say? The king comes up to you and he goes, will you be my servant? And you stand up to him and you lift your neck and you make yourself proud and you go, oh, what? You can stay here and you can be safe and you can have blessing and you can have me and we can have peace and we can have eternity. Or you can have death. Now there's a really, really strong saying, and we'll use this to end off. To choose death, you literally have to walk over the dead body of Christ. Let that sink in for a minute. He died. He's there. He's pleading with you. I did all of that to get you home, and you just. Your dead body means nothing to me. I didn't tell you to do that. You see, it's a gift. God always brings in, when he's establishing his kingdom, he starts by freeing you first. Not because you deserved it, but because he loves you. And then he starts to show you who he is if you're paying attention. Then he asks you the questions. Now you know who I am and you know what I can do. Will you walk with me? Will you follow me? Will you be mine? And you get to say yes or no. If you say yes, you get the gift of Torah. It's a gift. It's a gift for a redeemed people. Why is it a gift? Because following these rules will give you life. Not eternal life, but life. It will lead you to eternal life because you are subservient to the king. And because you are subservient to the king, when he establishes his kingdom, and remember, the beginning of millennial reign and right way through millennial reign is literally him got one foot on the earth, and he goes, all right, well, I'm bringing some other stuff down. But before I do, I'm going to reform the earth. I'm going to fix all the animals, and I'm going to fix your body and everything about you too. It starts with the reformation of your spirit. And once God gives you that Ruach Kodesh and that change inside you, and remember, you can quite quickly nullify the spirit in you. You can choose to listen to it, or you can choose to ignore it. Just like you can choose to listen to your parents, or you can choose to ignore your parents. You can either listen to what the Bible is saying, or you can ignore it. Free will is our biggest gift, but it can be our biggest burden. One of our biggest gifts. Christ is right there, right? He gives you the opportunity, he gives you the choice to come into the kingdom, and he says, just walk through the door, Daddy's waiting, I'm here. Everybody else has let you down. I told you, I promised you, I'm going to establish it and say, I will never let you down. And I've got an eternity to show you. You want it. You will truly dwell with the Word, the Shekinah, and the Father as he establishes everything as it should have been in the Garden. You have a choice to make. You guys with me? All right. So when you look at this in Ezekiel, we've got a couple of options now, because you understand sacrifices a little bit more. Okay? All right. Prayer time is happy time.
Maybe that's us.
You're going to be one person.
No,
No, we're going to get to that.
I think that guy is good. That guy.
Look, we did a break. We did a breakdown until what, chapter 43 more or less?
Yeah, start with you.
No. We just kind of went through the subheadings, right?
To 45, because it's all talking about sin offerings and stuff.
Up until, I think, yeah.
Yeah, so
Pick it up from 43. Okay, and when you go through 43, I want you to make subheadings. I want you to just break down the things that he's talking about, because a lot of it, like we said before, is narrative about size and how many cubits and how many handbreadths and how many of this and how many of that of the temple. Like I said, the pictures work better for me, so you study how many cubits it is. Yes, there is benefit to it, but you're probably not going to get it all. I want you to look at the problem areas that we have and what he's going to be establishing, and in between we're going to have little pockets of narrative. The offerings were a pocket of narrative, and this is where the priests will eat their offerings. This offering, this offering, this offering, this offering. And now hopefully you will understand that when it says that, and when people talk about Ezekiel's millennium, well, you can say, well, are we talking about purification, or are we talking about the rebellious individuals that are coming up that don't know Yeshua? It'll be the first time people give an answer like that, I'm pretty sure. Right? So break it down. We've got a couple of chapters left to go. Hopefully we can hit narrative, and if we hit another speed bump, we can unpack it like we did tonight. Okay? Okay? All right. Who's praying for it? Manga. Yay, it's manga.
Father Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for getting us here safely. And thank you for the teaching that we got out today. Father Lord, I come to you. Father, I pray that you take us home safely. And please also let this word sink into our hearts and not just our hearts. I pray this in
Spread your hands. No, it's just
Oh yeah, that's endless. Bye bye.
like a husband.